Doing a little walk around on my 79 Chevy truck build. It's a Custom Deluxe C10 with what appears to be 42,000 original miles on it. Out of Las Cruces, New Mexico. So it was a very dry truck, no rot anywhere. The paint's still on the floor, the wood floor in the stepside bed, but it had some surface rust and stuff, and because it had been sitting out in the desert untouched for a lot of years, it was not drivable. Everything on it was leaking, just dry rotted. I mean, every piece of rubber that was on the truck, you could tap your fingernail on it and it sounded like a piece of plastic or metal. It's so hard and brittle. So it wasn't roadworthy, wasn't drivable. It needed just about every piece of rubber or every seal, everything on it needed to be gone through. When I got it, I parked it away for a while and really didn't know what I was going to do with it. And this April, first weekend of April, I pulled it out of the shop and decided to tear it down to the frame and go through it. So I thought I'd talk a little bit about what I'm doing. So since it's a Custom Deluxe, I didn't have a lot of options on it. It was a stepside, it's two-wheel drive, had a 250 straight six in it, and a 350 automatic transmission, and a radio, and that was about it for options on this thing. I'm not going to do a whole heck of a lot more to it options wise, except for I'm upgrading the drivetrain and the suspension quite a bit. So the 250 is going away, and I'm putting an multi-port fuel injected 292 in it that is getting a lot of custom work done to it. Probably do another video on that later on. So as you can see in the front, I'm running a Beltec 1 3/8 sway bar. I've used that on another truck of mine. I really like that sway bar. It's a nice solid sway bar without any additional help from a rear sway bar or anything. Keeps the truck nice and flat. Probably helps that these trucks don't weigh a lot to begin with, but anyway, so you can also see their CPP control arms, tubular control arms. Again, I've used those before also. I'm using the factory springs. Those are the original springs, and the original spindle is being used. I'm not dropping this truck at all. It's gonna ride at factory height, except for one small change in the rear, which I'll address here in a second. All new tie rods and everything in the front. It's all new. Nothing's untouched. Complete nut bolt restoration on the chassis. You can see right in here there's Willwood calipers tucked in there and some zinc plated cross drilled rotors. So this is the first time I'm using these Willwood brakes. I think the last time I tinkered with the truck, I either didn't realize these were available or they weren't available yet. So these are their factory replacements. They drop right onto the spindle without any modification, or no need to change anything. They'll work with factory rotors. They use factory brake pads. Pretty sweet, but instead of a single piston, they're a double piston. Pretty nice caliper. I'm excited to see how these do. Come around over here. So the truck is getting a 292 in it, and it's fuel injected like I said. So I did end up changing the gas tank out for an EFI baffled fuel tank. This is a Tanks Inc. Tank, and I've run and made all these fuel lines myself. Pretty happy with how that turned out. I've never done any tubing bending before. And then you'll also see this cooler here. That's going to be my radiator cooler. That's also something new that I've never done before. That kind of interested to see how this works out. I'll be running a 4L60 transmission with some updates done to it too. It's all being rebuilt. It will have a first and second gear change on it, so to kind of get rid of that low first gear in the 700s and 4L60s that kind of got a big gear change between first and second and real low first. It'll be more along the lines of a 204R as far as the gears go. Other thing you might notice that I did different on this is a 73 to 80 chassis, but I am doing a modification to I put all the brackets on, and I put the 81 to 87 parking brake setup on this truck. I just think it's cleaner. I just like it better. It's just a personal preference. It really isn't going to make a difference on anything, I don't think. But instead of having the metal lines, cables that run through the center of the chassis and hang down around the exhaust and over the drive shaft and everything, this just kind of cleans it up, I think. The other thing that you may notice, these brackets, I put the 2-inch lowering brackets on the front. Not really because I'm looking to lower the truck, but because I wanted to level the truck. The back end set up higher than the front, because it's a truck and they're looking for you to put weight in it. So I just wanted to sit level, and I put those on there just to bring the back end down a little bit. Rear end's all been gone through and redone. Some couple of little trick things I did, or one trick thing I did. Notch heads. Oh, I always get ticked off when I rebuild a rear end, and at some point through moving that rear end around, I end up breaking off one of the brake line clips, and it irritates me. So this time, I always have this seam welded up on my rear ends when I do them. And this time, when I had the welder do that, I had him weld on some little pucks that I made up where the old clips would go, that would allow me to screw the notch heads on there and then use those for this. And I'm very happy with how that turned out. The rear end is an Eaton True Track carrier, still has the factory axles in it. It had 340 gears originally. It now has 373 gears with the overdrive transmission, the 235/75 tires, and those gears. I should be running about 2100 RPM going down the highway. Should be pretty comfortable. So that's about it, really. Everything was stripped completely down to bare metal. Powder coat shop did the sandblasting on it. They primered everything, and then powder coated it all satin black. I had several pieces all done at the same time, and those wheels are not the wheels that are going to be on the truck, but they are very similar. I have a set of 15x8 factory styled wheels that they're going to be white, and they're going to be on this truck, and it'll look just about the same. Those just happen to be aftermarkets. Okay, starting to rain. I think I'm about done. I've talked enough.